So this was some Godzilla news that I didn't really get to talk about because of reasons that I've gone over. But I figured, hey, better late than never. And we're going to be talking about some major Toho news and kind of talk about like what that ensues for film industry to begin, the film franchise to begin with, to continue onward. So we got some interesting news from Toho that, in a few weeks, the Godzilla Minus One sequel will start shooting, and it may arrive as early as next year, which doesn't surprise me because that's how fast it took to make the first Minus One movie, was little over a year, and Japan has a very dedicated work ethic, and Yamazaki clearly knew what he was doing with that, in that time frame. So, Minus One sequels ago, I would not be shocked. I actually do. I'm going to say this right now, and I fully admit I could be wrong, is that I think what's going to happen is that once we get to the next anniversary year, November 3rd, when we get to that date, is it November 3rd or 4th? I think it's November 3rd. When we get to that, that anniversary year for Godzilla, they're going to announce what the title is. They're going to announce what the next Godzilla, what the Minus One sequel is. They're probably going to give us they're probably going to give us some information. Maybe even now, this one I'm going into speculative, but they're going to probably talk about what the other monster is. Like they might even talk about, like, is it Hedorah? Is it a new monster? Is it Mothra? Things like that. That's just that. However, I think is me being more speculative than anything else. So I will say that. So I'm excited. I really am excited. I'm excited to see where this goes. I talked about like how, even though it's not confirmed, I think Hedorah makes the most sense to be the villain in Minus One. I did a whole video talking about that, but I'd be totally fine with a completely new monster, but yeah, I feel like it should be a monster that we haven't seen in a while, or a new monster. I can't, as much as I love like Mothra and Ghidorah, we need more monsters. We need, at least, if you're going to do a different monster, if you're going to do like a same old monster, that a classic kaiju, do it of someone we haven't seen in a long time. And as for, or just a new monster entirely. That's all I ask. So I'm excited. Shooting begins, and we'll probably get like a release date, and they probably will hold on to the whole thing of saying, yeah, it's going to be released next year. It would not shock me if we got all that news. I'm sure they're saving it, for the Godzilla anniversary. So there's that. Now, the other thing, I'll talk about the big thing, another major movie thing in a moment, but the other major thing was Godzilla. They're really trying to push Godzilla in China, which we saw there was like a new version of the Minus One Godzilla with like green atomic fire, which the green really works, and it looks like they're copying that from their Keisei era, which is the IDW comics. They're basically doing something like that too. So it's very clear that now they're trying to push Godzilla. We don't know what kind of thing. We don't know if it's a movie. I don't think it is. I think it's just more promotion for Godzilla in China. And yeah, if it's anything like Subaraya really pushed Ultraman in China, and it got big. Like, it got massive. So I'm sure this is just Toho trying to edge itself more into the Chinese market and really popularize, get some of some of that Chinese money as well. So we've got, we don't know what that is. They just said stay tuned, and I'm sure again we will get more information on that come the anniversary year. That's what I'm saying, is that we're probably going to get more definitive. They've announced, they've said things, but they haven't really announced anything definitive. That's the big thing, is that they're not really announcing anything they're not really saying anything that we haven't heard before, or making anything major confirmations, because again, Toho now realizes that Godzilla is very marketable, so they clearly want to have, they clearly are going to make this anniversary, this year's anniversary Godzilla Day a big thing. Yeah, that's what it's probably going to be. So we'll probably get more about that China marketing in a bit, come that year, or day, excuse me. But we also have some other major news, which I have to be honest, I don't know if I agree with. I really don't know if I agree with this kind of news. So it has now been announced by Toho that there is a strong push from them to make a Shin Godzilla sequel, which I'm of the mindset of, do we need it though? I feel like does Anno or Higuchi want to do it? Do they want to do it? Doesn't feel like it. They basically moved on from the Shin movies. So I would dare say that it's probably not, I don't think it's a smart idea. And honestly, like, Shin is such it's one of those movies where I feel like you don't need a sequel. And I know it's weird because a lot of people are saying, well, -1 didn't need a sequel. The ending says otherwise. Also, it's very clear Yamazaki had a clear vision for a sequel at the bare minimum. So, yeah. So we have that going on. But personally, I feel like Shin is such a solid, open-shut movie that it would be hard to do a sequel, and if you tried to... It would even be more fucked if you did it without Anno and Higuchi. I honest to God feel like if Anno and Higuchi were... If they said they're going to do a sequel, but Anno and Higuchi are not a part of it, I don't know if I'd like it. I know it's not going to be Anno. He's going to be working with Spielberg. Yeah. Which I'm also in of itself kind of dreading, because there's this genuine worry that Hollywood is going to emotionally break this man creatively wise. So I'm worried that because Toho may be a demanding master in of itself, but Hollywood is a different beast, and I worry they're gonna break him. I really do worry they're gonna break Yamazaki. But yeah, like, going back to what I said, is that I feel like even if you didn't get Anno, or even did, I feel like that movie is so poetically open shut. And remember, and the other reason why I think we don't need a sequel for Shin Godzilla is mostly because I feel like that film was what Toho needed to get the ball rolling. That film, right at, only 2 years after, Godzilla 2014 came out, it was basically Toho going, we're back. Like, we're coming back, and Shin Godzilla was that was the shot in the arm they needed to really get the ball rolling for other Godzilla projects. Had Shin not has done well, or, if they decided not to go with Shin, then there would not have been, not just -1, but all these other projects, and cooperation with America, with American studios to make these, to make the Godzilla films. So I feel like the importance of Shin Godzilla is that, yeah, it was an untainted movie that was needed to basically strike when the iron, not only to strike when the iron was hot and to show that, hey, we're Toho and this is our baby, remember that, but also it was what they needed at the time to really get the ball rolling for, further projects. So yeah, that's just my 2 cents. I just feel like I usually like sequels to movies, but there are some movies where I've openly said this movie does not need a sequel. It does not need anything. It is perfect on its own. And Shin Godzilla is one of those movies where I will openly say, as much as I'm a Godzilla fan, Shin does not need a sequel. I'm sorry to say. And it's weird because I know a lot of people say -1 doesn't need a sequel, and there I'm like, I digress on that front. But Shin is too perfect to not And if you really want a sequel, you have the 4D ride where he crosses over the Evangelion. There you go. Anyway, so you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you guys think of all this Godzilla news? Are you guys excited? Are you guys not? And also, to everyone bitching and moaning about, oh, it's going to flood the market, we're going to have too much Godzilla, shut the fuck up. Okay? Suck my dick. I literally am so goddamn sick of all of you bitching and moaning that it's too much Godzilla stuff. Because you were not there for the 10-year gap. So I'm happy that we're getting new Godzilla projects from Toho and America. Now, will I say there's maybe too much? But yeah, look at all the Marvel and DC movies and how much buku money they make. I rest my case. So yeah, just comment below, let me know. Do you guys like this idea? Are you guys excited? What do you think the Godzilla China project will be? What do you think what are your hopes for Godzilla Minus One sequel? And do you want a Shin Godzilla sequel? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope y'all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in Multiverse.